It didn't play. There's supposed to be an intro. Good morning, good morning, morning. Can you guys hear me? Give me an old thumbs up if you guys can hear me. I don't know why the intro didn't play, but that's par for the course. Oh. I don't know why the intro didn't play, but I guess we'll just go live. We'll do it live. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. I'm having a little bit of a rough day. I got barely no sleep, hardly any sleep last night. I was having problems with my CPAP machine, of all things. So I didn't get much sleep. Let me go grab my coffee. I was making a coffee. That's what I was going to go pick up during the intro. I was going to get my coffee ready. So, and I was going to eat I made a sandwich. I was going to eat that during the intro. I don't know why there was no intro. It really does kind of bother me. Let's see. I guess let's see if this is going to work. There we go. Come along for a good time. It's a good time, good time, good time, good time. Tucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Gonna be the time of your life. Gonna talk some shit. Gonna talk a little smack. Gonna talk whatever comes of it. I'm always gonna come back. Oh yeah, it's the Trucker John Livestream. He's the biggest, baddest, funniest mother you've ever seen. Watch your mouth, he's headed south. Not even sure what that means, but if it's one thing I know, Trucker John Livestream is the best thing you've ever seen. It's time for the Trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Oh, Trucker John Livestream. Come along for a good time. It's a good time, good time, good time, good time. Trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Gonna be the time of your life. Gonna talk some shit. Gonna talk a little smack. Gonna talk whatever comes of it. Always wanna come back.
He made his way up through the KGB.
He learned how to maneuver politically.
The Russian mafia is an adjunct of the Russian government.
And they help maintain Mr. Putin's power.
To the point where Putin may well be the wealthiest man on the face of the planet.
How does Russia launder money into America?
Everything I know that's interesting, I can't tell you.
The Russians have a particular type of mark. They go after somebody who has business resources, shady morals, and political connections or aspirations. I've just described Donald Trump.
Putin realizes that if we're divided as a nation, we cannot protect ourselves from threats within and without.
And what you have is probably the biggest intelligence breach in the history of the world.
The crown jewel for any intelligence agency is to recruit an asset inside your adversary's intelligence agency.
They seem to have premonitions of things that were going to happen that in fact did happen.
The question is, who helped guide the decisions that the Russians were making?
Trump Tower was the money laundering paradise.
Anybody who was anybody in Russian organized crime bought a condo unit at Trump Tower.
We have a serious intelligence operation in the home of the man who becomes president of the United States. I think this is the tip of the iceberg.
What's at stake is truth and the cause of liberty at the most profound level possible.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. Trucker John. How about now? You guys hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? I'm having a bad morning today. Let's see. There we go. All right. Looks like I think you can hear me. All right, guys. Here it is, 9:15 a.m. Pacific time in beautiful Las Vegas. We got the fireworks in the background. There's New York, New York. Happy New Year. We're here we are, New Year's Eve morning. "2024 is coming to an end, and 2025 will be here at the stroke of midnight." So what do you guys think? Did the year go by fast? They always do, seems like. We always say that. You know, we always say, boy, that year went by fast, but I guess it just is what it is. Each month goes by. Next thing you know, 12 of them. So here we are. Now let me look here. I got Aaron West is first. Thanks, Aaron, for being here. I'm going to put a goal for super chats so that we'll see if that'll get the all messages going. Because right now I don't have all messages. You know, so let's do that again, like we do, as we are wont to do. But let me go back to the beginning here. Yeah, Aaron's here. Nick Rich is here. Hello, Nick Rich. Good to see you. Jolie's here. All right, so we are at full mod capacity. Hopefully, you guys are both still here. Let's see. We got Chris Doug. Hey, Chris Doug. Good to see you. Happy New Year. I know it's still New Year's Eve, or it's New Year's Eve morning. So, but still, I guess you can say Happy New Year. Close enough. Now I am planning. I was planning on doing a show tonight of me just sitting here and ringing in the new year. I was gonna go ahead and get. I didn't get a chance to go get anything like any champagne or any alcohol, so I might just be ringing the new year in with cherry cola or something. All right, just see some super chats came in, but it did not activate the all messages, unfortunately. But yeah, we got Chris Doug here. We got as I'm trying to wake up slowly. Like I said, I had a bad night. Tamara Price is here. Good to see you, Tamara. Ask is here. Happy New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's Eve morning to you. MJ Daniels here in the lounge. Marsha's here. Good to see Marsha. All the familiar faces I've been seeing throughout the year. You guys are awesome. Thanks for being here. Search for You is here. Tanya Johnson. Good morning to you. Kim Cheese here. That's my jam. There it is. Michael, that's the key. The $10 super chat. I guess from now on I'll just make the goal $10 super chat. Because that did it. That gave me the chat filter. So thank you, Michael. Thanks so much for that. We got William says good morning. Good morning back at you. Kellahella's here. Hey, Kellahella. Good to see you. Michael McAndrews with the $10 super chat. Thanks so much. Oh, yippee! And I haven't scrolled down to them yet. I'll give you guys some proper yippies here in a minute. We got Carrie C volume. Hopefully I'm back up. Hopefully the volume's back up. I think it is. Laura Lee's here. Ask No Sound. We got Michael Andrews. There's the first super sticker for $1. Yeah, that didn't work. It seems like it's only the $10 one. So, yippee to Michael and to Jim Adelberg got $2 super sticker. So yippee to you. Thank you so much, Jim. Thanks for the support of the show and everything else. Goal achieved, it says here. Thanks to participants. Trugger John just achieved the goal. All right, you guys are awesome. There's Nick Rich. Happy New Year. Tamara Price with a super sticker, $2 super sticker. Thank you so much. Yippee to Tamara Price. Yakety Smack is here. Hey, good to see Yakety Smack over here in the driver's lounge as we kick off this New Year's Eve morning. Chris Doug, Eve Day, that is. Nick Rich, a higher amount required. I think it's the $10 one, and there it is. I see it says this might work. There it is. Thank you, Michael. Yippee to Michael McAndrews. To Michael McAndrews. It gets me. Now, let me see if I can get to the super chats here. I'm not super chat, but to all messages. And there we go. Now I'm at all messages. Carolyn Phelps says hi to all. We are getting some sparkling grape juice for tonight. Yeah, I guess I'll have to make a run and get something. Laura Lee says, you are forgiven. It's New Year's Eve. Never apologize for sharing your time with us. Well, thank you for that, Laura Lee. I just, I feel like I'm bumbling and stumbling. And I didn't even finish. Instead of making myself a proper breakfast, I just made myself a toasted turkey and cheese sandwich for my breakfast. Because I was, running late. I think I got like 2 hours sleep last night. And then plus, I made this really, I think, I made my year in review, my own little personal year in review of just some of the stuff that I've done this year. And if it's 54 minutes long, I'm trying to download it. It goes about 3/4 of the way through and it just stops. I'm trying to download it from the iMovie app, I guess, to my photo album, so then from there I can upload it to YouTube. I've been trying to do that since last night, and that's been keeping me awake too, just trying to figure that out. I've been trying every which way. I checked I should have plenty of memory left. And I'm trying to think. I think I've downloaded, videos that long before. So I'm having troubles with that. It's really pissing me off because I wanted to show that. Actually, I wanted to show it. I was going to premiere it last night right after Liberal Dan's show, but couldn't do it. I couldn't get it to download. And then all night I've been messing with that. And then I try to go to sleep. The CPAP machine. Actually, it's not the machine. I think it's just I think I have a bad mask. I'm gonna have to go get another mask. Anyhow, that's my life. Let me look down here. We got Gino Maynard here, Mr. Zombified, hanging out here in the driver's lounge. Ass says I drink FRE champagne, sparkling brut, non-alcoholic. But yeah, anyhow, I was thinking about coming back on tonight sometime. Maybe I'll go on early enough, like so that the East Coast folks, we can ring in the new year for you guys which would be 9:00 my time, and then I guess 10:00 for the Central, and then 11:00 for the Mountain, 12:00 for me. So we'll do that, I guess. All right, guys. So anyhow, so what's the big thing, the big takeaway for 2024? We had so much stuff happen. Just the other day, Jimmy Carter died. Rest in peace, Jimmy Carter. I remembered, I'm old enough to remember Jimmy Carter as president. I wasn't old enough to vote yet. I was in high school. I guess when Jimmy Carter was elected, I had just turned 16 in October of that year. And then Carter was the president for my high school years. I thought he was a great guy. I really thought he was a great guy, and I can remember Iran-Contra, or not Iran-Contra, the Iran hostage situation. At that time, I didn't really know anything about Iran-Contra. That didn't come out until later. But I remember the hostage situation, the hostage crisis, as it was called, and I do remember that was hurting Carter's campaign. And you could see Carter, at least as I remember, of course, wanting to get through this crisis and, get the hostages out. But I remember they tried this SEAL team kind of rescue. They had the helicopters going across the deserts in Iran or whatever. I'm not sure where they crashed. It was probably out of that country, but the helicopters crashed and a bunch of SEAL team members got killed, I think, right? And that was it. I think that killed it from that point on for Carter. Because in the media, now I didn't believe this. I thought it was really a tragic thing that happened. And I was just like, I remember watching the news and going, "Oh my God, now what?" Like nothing's going right for this hostage thing. Now these SEAL team members, get killed and helicopters crash and everything. But the media was really, really just painting Carter as being this like just bumbling fool. That's how they. So I think we've had my media bias for a long time because I don't think it wasn't Carter's fault that the helicopter crashed. And they were going to go in and do this big rescue. This was SEAL Team 6, or I guess it was 6. I don't know. I think it was a SEAL team. All I know, it was a military, extraction that they were planning, and it all it didn't work. And but that really seemed to be, as I remember it, that kind of seemed like the final nail in the coffin for Carter. And this is way before the election. Months before the election. Well, a few months. I think it was just a couple of months before the election, I guess. A few months, maybe 2 or 3 months. But from then on, it was just like Carter can't do anything right. He's just, everything he does, and then, this is going up to 1980 now. So, and at this point, I was out of high school at this point. I'd graduated, and I remember I was working at this office machine store. It was basically, they sold Xerox copy machines and then paper and ink and all that shit. And I was like the delivery boy. I would take the vans. I had this little delivery route, but I remember on election day, I was in the store and I was like stocking shelves or whatever, and people were coming in, and as the results were coming in, they had the TVs playing. They had a TV playing, and it was still early, but I remember they were still, posting some of the returns, and Reagan was winning. It's that feeling. We've gone through this recently, and you start seeing, Reagan winning this state and that state, or being projected as winner, or leading. And I remember people coming in all giddy and happy that Reagan was winning. And I remember I was just like disgusted, because that was my first election in 1980. I actually, I voted, and I voted for Carter. And I remember I was just shaking my head. I think I was saying little things under my breath, like, I can't believe this, or this sucks, or something like that. And lo and behold, a few days later, I got fired. Because the lady who owned the shop, she was like this old lady. I forget, maybe one of her sons was involved too, and they had a lot of employees. Not a lot, but there was, five or between 5 and 10 employees, I guess. Apparently, they were all Republicans. They were all Reagan supporters. They didn't like the fact that I guess, obviously looked upset about Reagan winning. And then they fired me. And I know because everything was fine up to that point. I'd been working there. I was a delivery guy doing deliveries. And then all of a sudden, after Reagan won, and I had made, I think, a little under my breath remarks about that, then all of a sudden I got fired. Sort of a foreshadowing of things to come under the Reagan administration. A lot of people lost their jobs during the Reagan administration. I see Aaron's been a member for 8 months. Thank you so much, Aaron. Happy to be here. We're happy to have you. Let me scroll on down here a little bit. Marsha had to take a call. I was wondering where Marsha was. Marsha was on a call. Oh yeah, Kinchi says I think Diana's playing too. That's right, which I think is great. I love Diane's playing. So go check out Diane. I think I'm just going to go on, and whoever comes in can come in. You guys can rotate, around, or people have multiple devices, or you can go back and forth to check out Diane for a while, check out me for a while, check out whoever else is on for a while, check out Anderson Cooper or whatever, Search for You says, I can tell you right now, I will not be staying up. Jim Adler, 2024 lesson, capitalism sucks. I'm not anti-capitalist, but I am anti. I'm anti-regulations. But I don't want to get into a big debate about capitalism and all that, and whatever. David Wheeler, 2024, we lost democracy. Yeah. Chris Doug says, I'll be drinking fresh squeezed lemon and lime juice with fresh mint mixed with sparkling water tonight. That's quite the little concoction. William says, I'm proud to say I voted for Jimmy Carter twice. There you go. I only voted once because that was my first election in 1980. So, but good for you, William. Midas Kevin says, hugs Aaron mournfully. Michael McAndrew says, yes, kids, we used to have this thing called democracy. It was, I think, a good thing back in the 1900s. Kim, she says, Carter was my man in 3rd grade. I wanted solar panels so bad. I finally got them the year he died, my first living pagan saint, because I said so. So you just got them this year, huh? Jimmy Carter, 100 years on this big blue marble. AJ Daniel says, I lived in Republican Eastern Washington. I just voted Reagan like the rest of the people I knew when I turned 18, but only once. I saw how bad he was. Well, that's yeah, it's good you learned your lesson. A lot of people didn't, apparently. Carolyn Phelps says, my dad met Jimmy Carter at a Baptist minister prayer breakfast. Oh, that must have been really awesome. Ask says, 444 days, Nixon setup. Not sure what that's about. Gina Maynard, member for 7 months. Happy New Year. There you go. Thank you, Gino. Thanks for being a member. I do appreciate you. Long-time member here. Carol Alana says, hey, Chuck or John, everyone here, Happy New Year. I'm alone this New Year's Eve. Niece is sick. I'm boring. Cleaning house. Rainy, dreary day in Ohio, while Colorado is nice and sunny. Wish I was there. Well, Carol, have a good time, no matter what. Cleaning house can be, can make you feel better. I know it does me. I don't like living in a dirty house. I don't like living if things are all unkempt. So if things get a little out of hand and I spend the day cleaning and getting things organized, I feel a lot better afterwards. So, hey, so a lot of people just have the attitude that New Year's Eve is just another evening, like any other evening, and it is really. I mean, if we didn't have a calendar, we wouldn't know we wouldn't know the difference of today or yesterday or tomorrow. It's just one of our traditions, to celebrate New Year's and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's fine either way. Celebrate, don't celebrate, make a big deal out of it, don't make a big deal out of it. It's okay either way. I'm just sliding the table over. I know sometimes whenever if I move the table or hit the table, there's a little fart noise that comes out. I just want you to know that's not me sitting here, tooting. It's the mic just picks up a vibration, or if I hit the table sometimes. So and I don't really know until sometimes I'll watch a bit of the playback just to see how, if it recorded right or whatever, and I'll hear that, and I'm thinking that's not me. That's the damn microphone and hitting the table or whatever. All right, there. Chris Doug says the choppers crashed in the Great Salt Desert in Iran. Okay, yeah. I knew it was a desert, and I knew they were on their way to Iran. I wasn't exactly sure which country it landed in, or they crashed in. And that was horrible. It was really horrible to hear that news. It came through the news. I remember watching it, and then I was like, oh fuck. I mean, of course, your first thing is feeling bad for the people who died, but then I was like, it was like one disaster after another for for Jimmy, like for his presidency. Non-useless here. Hello, non-useless. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out with us. Yeah, there's we got Jolie, Kimchi, Carol. I'm just scrolling on down. Non-useful. I missed those boxes of Boston baked beans that said "Just say no" on the inside. I don't remember those. Don't remember that at all. Elizabeth Fernandez is here. Good morning. She says, "Good morning, Trucker John." Hello, and good morning back at you, Elizabeth. I almost feel like last night was New Year's Eve, and I'm all groggy from partying or something. I'm a bit groggy this morning. For those of you that came in late, I did not get very much sleep last night because I was having issues with my stupid CPAP machine. Anyhow, Nick Rich says when John rambles, he gets behind in the chat. I get behind in the chat no matter what, Nick. Just reading the chats makes me get behind in the chat. Seyhal's here. Hey, good to see Seyhal. Thanks for hanging out with us for a bit. Seyhal says, holy crap, Trucker John is talking with a mouthful again. Yeah, I know. But I was like, you know what? I want to eat my sandwich. Usually I wolf the food down when I'm doing the intro. But the intro didn't go so well this morning, so. Left Wing Gorilla's here. Left Wing Gorilla says Reagan committed treason by contacting militants and telling them not to release. Yeah, that's Iran-Contra. Telling them not to release hostages till after the election. Yep. I guess I shouldn't assume everyone knows that. I was alive during that time, and then I was alive, during the 80s after Reagan became president. The whole thing broke out with all about Oliver North. The guy who crashed the plane. What was his name? That's what sort of exposed the whole thing. And so then they had the Iran-Contra hearings and the Senate hearings, and I think it was the Senate, right, or whatever it was. I remember watching all that, just like 10 years earlier. I remember, or whatever it was, 10 or 12 years earlier, watching Watergate. I used to watch that shit. That's the kind of shit I used to do. I mean, and I say that because for kids my age during Watergate, and young adults my age during Iran-Contra hearings, were not watching that. I was one of the few people that would my age that would watch that shit. And not that I was some like nerd or whatever. I was a big partier in my 20s. Whatever. Whatevs. Ask this question. Reagan, Nixon did the other shit first. Yeah, Reagan's the one who was Iran-Contra. Nixon was Watergate. And also, Nixon pulled some shenanigans regarding the Vietnam War that didn't help whoever was going to run against him. Johnson was going to run, and then he decided not to. Probably in large part because of stuff that Nixon was doing, working deals that he wasn't supposed to be doing with, I guess, the North Vietnamese president or whatever. It really can get hairy, all this political bullshit. There's a lot more going on than most of us think about, probably. Chris Doug says, remember the Reagan Democrats? Yeah, which I don't understand. David Brinkley said the Democratic Party was not the same party of the past. Bill Moyers called him out as being racist. Wow. Good for you, Bill Moyers. I remember those guys, though. Carolina says, my mom despised Reagan. As governor of California, he stole from teachers' retirement fund to balance California budget. Plus, as president of SAG, Reagan was mobbed up to the gills. Well, I don't know about. I've never. This is the first time I've ever heard about him being mobbed up. I've heard about his criticisms as California governor. I knew he was a SAG president. I've never heard. This is the first time I've ever heard about him being mobbed up, and I'm just wondering if that's an old stereotype that of union bosses being tied to the mob, which I don't believe is always the case, especially in SAG in California in the 1960s and 70s. I don't know. I've never heard that. This is the first time I've ever heard about Reagan being mobbed up. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying I never heard that before. Tony Johnson says, yeah, I can't talk about politics at work. A little is okay with someone that is safe. And I wasn't even talking about it. I never talked politics at work, but this was election day. It was late in the, towards the evening. People were coming in to the shop, as they do, buying those days, your paper supplies and your ink supplies and your office supplies. It was kind of like a little office supply store, but the main thing is they sold Xerox machines, and then my delivery was to all these companies. I would deliver the paper, and if they needed ink, whatever supplies they needed to keep their upkeep on their machines and stuff, their Xerox machines. It was sort of like the Dunder Mifflin of Victorville or something. Well, actually, weren't really. Well, I guess they had. I think they had people that did sales. I was just like I guess I was kind of like Daryl in the warehouse or something. But on the election day, I was out in the store because I guess we didn't do any deliveries, or maybe I did my deliveries already. I came back to the store, and then they were just having me do some stuff to finish up my shift, and I was like stocking some shelves and stuff. And I didn't say anything. I wasn't talking to anybody. I was just looking at the TV, and people were like, "Oh, look, Reagan's gonna win! Reagan's gonna win!" And I was just like shaking my head. I really all I remember is kind of like shaking my head, and I must have had a look on my face. And I'm thinking I might have said something kind of under my breath, but I don't really remember. And maybe it was louder than I thought, because I think I might have said like, this fucking sucks or something. But I wasn't really talking to anybody. I was talking to myself as I was just stocking some shelves or whatever. Hey, Robert Perez is here. Good to see Robert. Thanks for joining us here in the old driver's lounge. Robert says, Feliz Año Nuevo. Happy New Year to you, Trucker John, and all the Democrats who took the time and effort to vote. Yeah. Thank you, Robert. And that's another thing about 2024. Where were all the goddamn voters? I thought this was supposed to be such a high turnout. I thought this was supposed to be Rovember. This was going to be where the women came out from all, not just Democrats, but Republicans, right wing, left wing. They were all going to be so pissed off about having their bodily autonomy taken away from them, from being turned into second class citizens. I thought that was going to be enough to carry us through, but I guess that just wasn't enough to overcome the misogyny of the men. We were about 15 million voters shy of the Democrats that showed up in 2020. Ridiculous. You voters were ridiculous. You voters that didn't show up. And you misogynist men who couldn't vote for a woman. And then the women that couldn't break away from their husbands or from their religion. Yakadine Smack says Reagan was a puppet and Hollywood continued to be one in the White House. Non-Usual says it costs $100,000 to pray with Orange Jesus and the first whore of the country just before inauguration. Chris Doug, there's a huge migration away from Democratic Party of white America. Yeah, that was from the Reagan, the so-called Reagan Democrats, all that bullshit. If you vote for Reagan, you're not a goddamn Democrat. Now, if you're a first-time voter and you're young, you made a mistake like MJ Daniel did. That's, I understand that. But a lot of them were older folks, or folks who have been voting for several times in their 30s and their 40s, their 50s, their 60s. A lot of longtime Democrats, and all of a sudden they voted for Reagan. And to those folks, I say, fuck you. Robert Perez says, I'm happy for 2024 because I met my new internet buddy, Trucker John. Well, thank you, Robert. And me too. Likewise, I'm happy for this year. I got to meet Robert Perez in the chat room, virtually, Carolina says, watching as my robot vac cleans up in kitchen family room. There you go. Mark Lungo is here. Mark says, I wasn't old enough to vote until 1984. The first candidate I voted for was Mondale. I remember Mondale. He seemed like a good person. I voted for him. I've never voted for Republican. Not once, ever. Dick Rich, fart guns are fun. Michael McAndrew, did you do a Trumpy, John? No, I didn't. As says, first New York festival dates from about 2000 BCE in Mesopotamia, where in Babylonia the new year Akitu began with the new moon after the vernal equinox. Thank you, Ask. And I didn't even ask. I got all that information. All right, I'm going to skip down a little bit. I know I'm like 30 minutes behind in the chat, so I'm going to scroll on down here a little bit. Non-useful Nancy Reagan, just say no campaign. Yep, just say no. Which sometimes I agree with, but I know that addiction, culture, like a drug culture or being around drugs and peer pressure, and then there's actual addictions. It's a little harder than just say no, but sometimes I have that attitude when it comes to how we are, we Americans are responsible for drug cartels and all that kind of shit because of our demand for drugs. But that just goes to show that we really need to, I think, decriminalize a lot of drugs. We need to, and we need to put our emphasis on, I think, drug rehab and drug programs, drug education, drug rehab, all that kind of stuff, instead of just lock them up, for a lot of things. Midas Kevin says, me to John, the CPAP shut off on me. Well, actually I've had I think 2 nights in a row. 2 nights ago, there was a power outage, and the CPAP, I don't have it on a backup battery system or anything like that, and that woke me up 2 nights ago, because once the CPAP goes off, it's just weird. It's just you're just breathing and you're just sucking in, like you're not getting any air. The CPAP, what the CPAP does is, it, for those that don't know, it like forces air up your nose or whatever, and keeps you breathing. Because CPAP, what happens if you have what is it? Yeah, I don't have CPAP disease. No, what is it? The thing, sleep apnea. There it is. If you have sleep apnea, what's happening is you stop breathing, and sometimes if you're so sleeping so soundly, I guess you might not ever, and you don't start back up breathing on your own, then you just die. So the sleep apnea machine, it kind of forces you to breathe. And so anyhow, yeah. So 2 nights ago, that went off because there was a power outage that lasted about 3 or 4 hours, I guess. Because I remember I woke up, I think it was like 3 or 4 in the morning, and I woke up and I first I knew that something was wrong with the CPAP, because it's like when I'm breathing, you're not getting any air. So I took the CPAP off, and I noticed that it was like pitch black dark. I mean, like so dark I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. So I knew that there was a power outage, because there's always lights out here in the courtyard. I've always got like little like a little light or whatever. And I've got stuff, but everything was completely out. And so there was a power outage. That was like 2 nights ago. And then last night I had this issue with the CPAP where I think the mask, I got to replace the mask because it was like leaking or something. And so I was messing with that, trying to figure out if I could fix my mask. It was a whole thing. It was a whole deal. It was a whole deal. Sal says Oliver North was a fucking hero. Well, he wasn't a hero when it came to when it came to his involvement with getting Reagan elected. Carolina says the book Iron Contra was a revealing book. Read it after it came out. I never did read that, but I've heard about it. Seha says he did what he was told. Oliver North is an asshole, Seha. Hey, as far as I'm concerned, Oliver North is okay, so he's a good little soldier. He's a good little Nazi, I guess. Chris Doug says Reagan wanted the full defunding of public schools, colleges, and university, as well as libraries and police, fire, EMS, slash and burn. Yeah, and he was also very anti-union. Your typical Republican in that he was all for lowering taxes for the rich, slashing regulations, and very anti-union, even though he was a SAG president. Formally. Laura Lee, reflection time important. Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, New Year's Eve, we look back at the year, and then we look forward to the next year. Surfer Norm says Reagan was just a dick. He was a Democratic head of SAG, and then he turned traitor to marry Nancy. He was also a draft avoider. The mob was close to the unions during the 30s and 40s as enforcers. Seha says that Tim Farrell, if Million's going to be on, like Johnny Million going to be on today. I feel like jamming. I'm not sure if he's going to be on. I saw he did have a message where he's going to start doing just Fridays only, and like for an hour and a half. But I don't know if that means he's not going to be on today, like when he's starting that, but I forget when he's starting to do that. Carolina also played with actors James Mason's son on Catalina Island. Art Linkletter's son Jack was into Boy Scouts and camped on our Colorado River, I guess, property in Bullhead. Riverfront property in Bullhead City, Arizona. So, Colorado River. Okay, got lots of stories through the years. Yeah, Marcia says the voting age changed to 18 in 1971. I also voted for Jimmy Carter twice. Let's see. Michael McAndrews, my LSD days are over. Mine too. I only tried that like once or twice, I guess. Big Dog, I use full face CPAP with supplemental oxygen. That power off alarm is really loud. Yeah, mine didn't have. I guess I don't have an alarm on mine. MJ Daniel, we need to get Democrats back in the majority in the Senate and Congress this midterm because we are seeing just a small sample of the chaos the GOP will bring. I agree, MJ. Non-Useless says there's a video of Don Jr. picking his snow-packed nose, then putting his index finger in his mouth, blah, blah, blah. Okay, gross. It is gross. I didn't need to read that. Was that Don Jr. We were talking about? Yeah, he's a gross dude. He's a gross dude. And the whole goddamn family is gross, as far as I'm concerned. Carolina, Marcia, American Greed, our unhealthy care system. Yeah. I was hoping that within my lifetime we might actually get at least maybe a public option. Now we got Trump. We can delay that by at least 4 years, I guess. Someone was saying that, and it was like one of those like Luke Beasley's or something like that. I don't know who it was. I forget, but or maybe it might have been Jink Younger. I don't know, but whoever it was that said this, they said, Donald Trump could get reelected very easily if he did like a public option or Medicare for all. Yeah, but I guess he doesn't need to do that because he gets elected anyhow without doing that shit. So. And now he's a lame duck. So Non-Useless says Oliver North helped topple the Democratic Central American governments. Yeah, I don't think Ollie North is a hero. Yakety Smack says Reagan tried to murder middle class. He certainly did damage. He was the start of this demonization of unions, a direct attack on the middle class. And I think there's probably a chart somewhere that would show how the income gap widened and widened and widened, probably starting with Reagan. Kim Shee says Ollie North lives in my hood. One New Year's Eve, I screamed "traitor" at his house. I was not invited back. Sayo says, yeah, but make no mistake, middle-level officers follow orders, or they go to Leavenworth. At MJ Daniel, it wasn't Oliver's fault. It was the big boys and the president above him. Well, he sure hasn't been very repentant, I don't think, all these years afterwards. Chris Doug says Reagan, the first spokesperson president, he was a neocon puppet. They set out to destroy the middle class and unions, and that's exactly what they did. Michael McAndrews, paper shredders became very popular after Oliver did his thing. Silver Norm says Oliver North broke the law and smuggled drugs on military aircraft to fund secret projects. I'm still trying to remember the name of the pilot that crashed. It was something like, his name is on the tip of my tongue. that was what really kind of exposed the whole Iran-Contra, the connection. Marcia says, I've always wanted to pass away in my sleep. Guess it will happen one day. Well, yeah, that's, that would be, the way to go. After you've lived a long life, and your body doesn't have much left to for you to withstand many more days, and then it's your time. That is a nice way to go. Just go to sleep, and I just don't want to do it now. So I'm thinking when I'm 85 or 90 or if I'm blessed enough to live as long as Jimmy Carter did, whatever. But at some point, that sleep and never waking up would be a great way to go. Either that or in a hell of bullets. I don't know. Silverdome says, if you're staying home tonight for New Year's, here's the party for you. New Year's Eve party, jam with Diane. I agree. That is the way to go. But I'll be on also. Like I said, you can go back and forth. You can have two devices, or you can just ignore me altogether. I don't know, but I think I'm going to hang out, just because I got nothing else. I got nothing else. I got nowhere else to go. So I'll probably be on. I'll turn the old camera on, the old whatchamacallit, and just hang out. But yeah, Diane would definitely be much more fun, entertaining. I think she's a great singer, a great guitar player, sings some great songs. Laura Lee says, I have no choice. My child is nonverbal autistic, all-nighter owl. So I will be eating mini sausage with bacon wrapped and a colorful float drink. That sounds delicious, by the way. Eileen Caw, or California, says, good New Year's Eve all, listening while riding my stationary bike. There you go. See? You can watch or listen to the show and do other things at the same time. Get a little exercise in. Non-useful says under Reagan, interstate rates on automobiles started at 18%. Or interest rates. I don't know if that's part of the non-sleep issue where I can't read today. And I can't distinguish whether it's night or day. Under Reagan, interest rates on automobiles. Yeah, the interest rates were outrageous under Reagan. Say how says Trucker John, should I be repentant for the kids I killed in Iraq? What I was referring to with Oliver North is that he has come out ever since after Iran-Contra and after the hearings and after I think he got convicted and then he got pardoned and all that kind of shit. He's had his own radio shows. He's had his own TV shows. And he has, due to the fact that he got a full pardon, he acts as though it never happened. Okay, that's my point, Seha. That's my point. He acts like it never even happened. He acts like he never did anything. And that it was all just fine and hunky-dory. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you serving and you're in a combat and you killed some people. I'm not talking about that. That's between you and your conscience and your maker. And it's a completely different thing. Terrence Bunt says Kimchi thought he lived in Great Falls, but okay, McLean. Brandon Woods is here. Happy New Year's, John and friends. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, world. Happy New Year's to you, Brandon. Chris Doug says pilot was CIA courier. Oh yeah, Hassenfuss. That's the one, Eugene Hassenfuss. That I knew that name was on the tip of my tongue. Thank you, Chris Doug. So isn't that the deal? He crashed his plane, and then that sort of they found him hauling a bunch of, I don't know if it was drugs or guns or both, and cash and all this kind of shit. And then that just opened the whole thing up. Let's see. We got Surfer Norm saying hi. Michael McAndrews, the pin say hi. Manos Kevin says Kimchi save me. Doomsday equal bad. Big Dog NC, thank you, Brandon. You too. Carol Lana says Kimchi, good on you for yelling traitor to Ollie. Good story. Love to know more. Laura Lee, only of bad New Year's Eve events led me to be a homebody. Yeah, there's bad shit that happens, so it's, I don't blame you for staying home. Kimchi says, Carol, I don't know if he even was home, but it felt good. Terrence Munt says, cryogenics, I'll donate my body to science, use or just freeze, and then in about 500,000 or how about 10,000 years from now, should MAGA free me, brother? I want to get some of those, I don't know if it's pills or whatever that Hal Sparks keeps talking about, where he says like in about 10 years from now, if you can just manage to live another 10 years, then there'll be I guess it's a pill or maybe a shot, I don't know, that will make you 20 years younger. And then it's like, I think he said then like every 10 years that you can just take another one and you'll be 20 years younger. Eventually you would be like 2 years old. I don't know how that would work, but so in 10 years from now, I'll be 74. So going by Hal's thing. So if when I'm 74, if I could take this magic pill or shot or whatever it is, and all of a sudden go back to being 54, I would do that in a fucking heartbeat. Could you imagine that? But it sounds kind of funny because like when you're in your 20s or your 30s, you're like 54. My God, that's ancient. But but I'm 64 and I would love to be 54 again. So could you imagine if you were 74? Some of you can in this chat, and you could be physically 54, like have the physical health and strength and I guess looks and everything of being 20 years younger. That would be awesome. And then I guess you have to. I don't know if, according to Hal's hypotheses or whatever it was, I guess you'd have. I don't know if it's because the technology would get better every 10 years, and so let's say you go another 10 years, and you can go. So then you'd be 64. Then you could go back to being 44. That would be fucking awesome. It's almost like you can live forever. I don't know how it all works, but that whole anti-aging thing, if between that and those carbon diamond batteries, those are the two things I wish that Hal talks about. I wish those would hurry up and happen. Anyhow, let's go over here in the chat here. Mad Max here. Slava Ukraini, Mad Max. Slava Ukraini, right back at you. Good to see Mad Mac. Happy New Year. We're getting there. Look at there, non-useful with a $2 super chat. Let's all donate $1 or $2 for a job well done. Well, thank you so much. And non-useful, you get a yippee. Thank you so much, non-useful. That's very nice of you to do that. Nikki Oliver, I remember that, John. Now I don't remember what I was saying because I'm like 20 minutes behind probably in the chat. And I don't know what you're talking about, but sorry about that. Super Norm says, how did North get promoted to general after being busted? Was he promoted to general? I don't think he wasn't promoted to general, was he? I don't know. Someone look that up? Hey, Brooklyn NY471 says, hello, trucker. Hello to you, back at you, Brooklyn. Good to see you. Hope you have a great New Year's Eve and a great New Year to follow. Chris Doug Hassenfuss is rabbit's foot in German, laughing out loud. Hey, Hassenfuss! I lost my lucky Hassenfuss. Brooklyn, New York, 471 just got here from Nerd Avengers. Eileen Cobb with a $3.99 super sticker. Thank you, Eileen. I think that's a super sticker with the cup of coffee there. So Eileen, I'm going to give you a yippee. Thank you so much for that. I do appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys for hanging out with me here on this New Year's Eve morning. It's still morning where I'm at. Some of you folks are already in the afternoon, but it's 10:12 here in good old Las Vegas, Nevada. Not to be confused with Las Vegas, New Mexico, where I have also lived. I said this before, but I was born and raised in California, lived pretty much my whole life there. And the only other two places where I've actually taken up residence have both been called Las Vegas. And they are in different states. One was in New Mexico and one is in Nevada. Say yes, says Truckers, I agree to disagree. In the military, you follow orders. Okay, I get you. Or get fucked with. I understand. I'm not saying Ollie North had good character, but the pressure in the service. Okay, well, thank you for your perspective, Seha. And you would know certainly more than I would. So I appreciate you, Seha. I appreciate you coming with your point of view, and enlightening me to probably definitely something that I don't know about. So thank you, Seha, for sticking with us and providing your perspective. I respect you. I respect that. Chris Doug says Hal is referring to NAD. It reverses aging. IV drip costs $600 at clinics. Well, is it available now? Because Hal is acting like if you gotta wait 10 more years before it's the one that'll make you get 20 years younger. Whatever they're doing now, I don't think that's the one. Anyhow, Mad Max says, do you pronounce Marcia or Marcia? Oh, I guess that was a question to Marcia. Michael Manders, if I took 6 pills, I would be only 7. Tim Farrell says, I don't recall how talking about this magic aging pill. You sniffing glue, John? No, not today. Not today. Well, maybe you don't watch the show as much as I do. I've been watching pretty religiously for the last 3 years or so, and he's brought it up on several occasions. And then next, the nano diamond batteries. Yeah, that's the other one. Kimchi says, now I must live another 10 years. Chris Doug, niacinamide, adenine, nucleotide. Whatever it is that Hal talks about, it apparently is not currently available. I mean, I'm not saying that this one you're talking about is not currently available, but Hal's talking about this one like in 10 years from now, it's going to be so, I guess, advanced or whatever. You could do it. It's going to de-age you 20 years. Non-useless says the youth vaccine will cost more than you or I will be able to afford. That's probably true. Non-useful. You're probably correct on that. Roxanne Arfield says, Seha, you have a point, true, but North was proud of breaking the law. Breaking the law. Mad Max says, if you are 50 and you took 6 pills, would you be unborn? Well, you can't take them all at once. I think that's the thing. The way Hal was explaining it, you take it de-ages you 10 years, 20 years, and then I think you said you have to wait another 10 years, and then you could do it again, and it'll reverse 20 years from there. But eventually, like every 10 years, I don't know. Would you eventually be like 2 years old or like a newborn? Of course not. But there'd be some thing there. Server says, laughing out, 54, I could still jog then. Yeah, 54 would be great. 54 was kind of like the beginning of old age. You know what I mean? Because I remember when I turned 50, I still felt great. And I was like, what's all this big talk about turning 50? Well, that's not even a big deal. And actually, it was like 50. I remember almost to the day, it was like 52 and a half. I started feeling changes of like just, weakness, being weaker or being this and that. And I was just like, oh fuck. Now I'm in my 50s. It took me 2.5 years to get into my 50s, but now I'm in my 50s. But still, even 54 is a lot better than 64. Let me tell you that much. Let's see. Big Dog in C with a $1.99 super sticker. Thank you so much. Happy New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's back at you, Big Dog. You get a yippee from me to you. And I hope you have a great New Year's Eve and a great New Year. And like I said, like I've been saying, I know that we're not really looking forward to the next few years being under a Trump presidency. But God damn it, I'm going to try to be happy. I hope everyone else can be somehow find some happiness. Find some happiness. Otherwise, we're just going to be crazy, Say how says Roxanne Airfield, I'm not saying he wasn't a dick. I'm just saying he did his job, and you have to look up the chain to find the poison. Well, that's true. Chris Doug, I take NAD pills, still old, but still bald, still fat, still have high blood pressure. So I guess those don't work. I don't know. Marsha, Matt pronounced Marsha. My mom said she liked French spelling. I don't know if it's French or not. Nick Rich, 113. So I'm about 5 minutes behind. 5 minutes back now. Non-usual says Oliver North, military ranks, lieutenant colonel. Yeah, I don't think he was ever a general. Michelangelo split state personality, John. Yeah, I guess so. Supernova, my mistake. North was promoted to lieutenant colonel. Deborah Murphy said hello. I'll be listening to get ready for a party tonight. Well, you go, girl. You have yourself a party, like it's 1999. Let me skip on down. Nick Rich, watch him religiously. Yeah, are you not familiar with that term, Nick? That just means you do it a lot, and without fail, and without missing very many of them. That's all it means. Don't read too much into it. Supernova says officers cannot obey illegal orders. If they do, they break the law. Non-useless NAD Plus, the fountain of youth, boosts energy levels. NAD Plus is the key player in the production of ATP, the molecule that provides energy to our cells. As we age, our NAD Plus levels decline. All right, we're getting lots of NAD. So you get your NADs back. That must be why they made that acronym. It's like so all the old guys can get their NADs back. I guess. I don't know. Michael McAndrew says if everyone is living longer because of these pills, then there will be zombies all over the place. I hope not. I don't like zombies. David Windler says I lived in Las Vegas, New Mexico. They filmed Red Dawn there. Yes, they did. Absolutely. The original. One of my favorite movies. The remake, not so much. Hey, there's Fancy. Fancy's here. Good to see Fancy. And we got, hey, hi, Fancy. And Fancy gifted a membership. Thank you so much. And looks like Search for You got that membership. So thanks, Fancy. And congratulations to Search for You. Use your membership wisely. But thanks, Fancy. Non-musical says NAD supplements can reduce weight gain by up to 60% when someone eats a high-fat diet. That would be me. I believe I eat a very high-fat diet. Hence this beautifulness right here. All of this. Hey, there's Paul Sharkey Mannion. Says, howdy, TJ and truckers. Hope you have a great New Year. Scotland has had to abandon the New Year hegemony fireworks celebrations due to a severe storm. I'm staying home. Have a good one. Well, you too have a great one. No matter what, just have a great New Year. Have Happy New Year's and Happy New Year. Robert Perez says, dude, I'm 56. Don't make me feel any older, Johnny. Well, enjoy your 50s while you got them. Because I think each decade obviously gets worse and worse. 60s it gets worse than the 50s. 70s are going to be worse than the 60s. I mean, God bless Jimmy Carter. He made it to 100, man. So. Kimchi 58, and some days I feel 40, some days I feel 70. Yeah. I think 54 is prime. Yeah, 54 is not bad, you know. Brooklyn New York says, go dancing and say F it. Seha says, holy ball licking dogs. It's Mad Mac. Why did I read that? Why did you make me read that, Seha? Robin M's here. Robin says, cheers, TJ, and all you lovely lovelies. Well, thank you, Robin M. Thanks for hanging out with us on this last day of 2024. This is it, folks. This is the last day of 2024. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? 2024. I'm still gonna try to get my damn year in review video up today. I made a year, my own little personal year in review, so it's not like your typical one where it's going to show you all the things in the news. There's a couple of things like that, but it's mainly just the stuff that I did over the past year. I'm going to try to get that up somehow, some way. I'm gonna try to get it up. You know, sometimes it takes a little longer, a little more effort to get it up, but I will get it up. I always manage to get it up, one way or the other. I don't know why I'm doing whatever the voice this is. Chris Doug, it's Nad, not Nads. Same thing. Mad Matt Wolverines, yeah, that's the Red Dawn reference there. Kimchi says Robert God is easing us into decrepitude, I guess. Big Dog NC 120, I'm puffing, don't tell, Trucker John. Puff away, big dog, puff away. Hey, it's New Year's, what the fuck, you know? What the fuck? Mad Max says, yeah, man, sure did. Got lots of Harley stuff. I guess for Christmas, maybe. Pam J's here. Pam says, hey, big dog, pass, and I won't tell. Hey, Pam, good to see you. You guys are over there puffing away. Chris Doug, my ex, has my nads in a jar and my credit cards. That's a good one. Paul Sharky Mannion, Oliver Stone should crawl back under the rock where he belongs. Robin M says the zombie, she's not there. Yeah, I remember that song. Whoa, 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 whoa. I just remember that part. I don't know. Do 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 do. Something like that, right? Along those lines. Robert Perez, Happy New Year to the hardest working person on Blue Sky. Fancy, have a great 2025. Fancy's killing it over there on Blue Sky. And by the way, you know what? I didn't even share the show out today. See, that's another thing that I usually do during I'm probably going to lose my all messages status now. I just went over to create a post. This is usually what I do during the intro too, is I do all my little send outs. And I didn't do that today because for those of you that were here during that debacle, I and I can't talk and do stuff at the same time, apparently. But the intro didn't come on. That's basically what it was. And so then I wasn't able to do during the intro. I'm usually doing. I'm sharing the show. So now I'm doing it right now. I'm just putting my links to the show out. This is what I usually do. And here, the reason I like my iPad because I have a Blue Sky link. On my iPhone, there is no Blue Sky link for some reason when I do these. But now here, so I'm going to post this over here to Blue Sky. And I'm just going to do this a little bit. Take a couple seconds if you guys don't mind. Hopefully you don't mind. I sent a couple of these out. I guess that's probably enough. I guess I've done enough damage. There's that. All right, so there's all of that. And Pam J became a member. Thank you. Welcome to Driver, Pam J. I appreciate you becoming a member. Guys, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. We're up to 3,690. Maybe as a small goal for New Year's Eve, maybe it'd be nice if we could crack 3,700 in subscriptions. That'd be pretty awesome. But thanks, you guys. I mean, like I was trying to figure out, like a year ago, where were we at in memberships? I think just over 1,000, maybe, or not even. I think I just became monetized or whatever. That you have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. I forget when all that happened, but now we're at almost 3,700. So we've grown quite a bit this year. I mean, for being me, for being old Trucker John, who for years and years and years I had under 100 subscribers and then just 100 or so, 150 for years and years and years. And now for this year, I think we've grown by at least probably over 2,000 or whatever, close to 3,000 maybe this year. That's a great accomplishment, and it's because of you folks. When you guys are in here, you're chatting, you're getting us out in the algorithm, you're sharing, you're subscribing. That all helps. That gets us out into the algorithms, and so I absolutely could not do this without you guys. Could not do it. So yeah, there's Pam J becoming a member. Thank you so much. Susie Jones says hello. Fancy. Pam J, I like you, Trucker John. You have a good chat too. Nice folks. Thank you, Pam J. I like you too. And yeah, this chat is second to none. I'm sorry. It's second to none. You guys are awesome. Non-useful says filtered power P8 will be RFK Jr.'s go-to drink. RFK Jr., man. What an unfunny joke he is. Roxanne Epstein, howdy, Trucker John and friends. Hello, Roxanne. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping on in. We're just hanging out, getting kind of ready for New Year's Eve and all that good stuff. Let me scroll on down here a little bit. Non-useful power is completely out on the island of Puerto Rico. What's going on over there? Michael McAndrews, I have to check every day, yet my head is still there. Susie Jones says, Nick Rich, I got timed out at Gin Tob this morning. I'm not sure why. You naughty girl. Nick Rich gifted a membership. Thank you, Nick. Thanks so much. Appreciate you for doing that. And Paul Sharkey Mannion got that one. So congratulations to Paul. And thank you, Nick, for doing that. That's pretty fun and pretty awesome. Robert Perez says, if I had enough money to go around, I would make Boston Brian cry daily. He's another cool cat I can talk to all day. Boston Brian's doing good, man. He's up to like, 8,000 or 9,000 or more subscribers. Did he break 10,000? I think he might have broken 10,000. Yeah. Say how I remember that it's all right now part. So I'm mid-thread on something there. Mid-thread. I did skip down. Non-useful says the U.S. Treasury was hacked by China yesterday. I hadn't heard about that. That doesn't sound good. Big Dog NC says, I was actually born in a hurricane. Hurricane Cleo, September 2nd, 1964. Jekyll Island, Georgia. Wow. You were brought to us like a hurricane or something like that. Tawada 106, the smooth sounds of Tawada 106 coming at you from all the way from Tokyo, Japan, I believe. Tawada 106 says, I especially like the live chat when you're driving your truck. I know, those were the days, weren't they? Tawana, have you been watching old videos, or were you actually like in the chat then, or was that under probably a different name? Because Tawana 106, I don't remember that until fairly recently, until this year. But yeah, those were the days. I kind of miss those days, and then I kind of don't miss those days. Kimchi says I was born in the back seat of a Greyhound bus traveling down Highway 41. Search for you, we rock. Chris Doug, say how jumping jack flash. I was schooled with a strap right across my back. Fancy, I'm lost. Search for you. I hope it's something good I did. I'm mid-thread on that one. Definitely mid-thread there. Michael McAndrew's best chat in the world. Maybe Hal could learn from you, John. Well, you know what? Hal, he gets out a lot of information. A lot of, so I mean, he can't sit. I'm just sitting here reading your chats. But Hal actually does like a show. I mean, he actually, I'll give Hal slack because he can't do the type of show he does and just sit and read the chat all day. So I'll give Hal, I'll cut him some slack. But me, on the other hand, I'm just sitting here, and then sometimes you guys will lead me onto a tangent or something. Robin M says I was born breeched with the cord wrapped around my neck. They called me a blue baby. Oof, that sounds scary. Glad you survived that. Eileen Kaw says U.S. took over power systems in Puerto Rico. Oops. Christina Weibel's here. Hey, Christina, good to see you. Thanks for joining us here in the driver's lounge today. Christina says, hello, everyone from a blue dot in Florida. I'm dealing with a family issue, MAGA. Enough said. Enough said, Christina. We get you. We get it. We get it, man. So yeah, if you need to hang out over here and chill out for a little bit, then by all means. Non-musical says U.S. Treasury says Chinese hackers stole documents in major incident. Wow. What kind of lapse in security went on there for that to happen? Look at there. Jolie has the Blue Sky link to my Trucker John channel over there on Blue Sky. I believe I'm up to 1,700 over there. Thanks for everyone who's followed me there. Michael McAndrew says, Robin, my nephew was born like that. He turned out okay. Thank goodness for that. Fancy, I like today's background. Yeah, we're getting all festive for New Year's Eve. Robin says, I'm okay too, Michael. Glad for your nephew. Tuato 106. Smooth sounds at Tuato 106. Says, Trucker John, I think I saw the Trucker Chat this year. It was so cool seeing the road go by. Yeah, you must have been watching an old one because I haven't really done any of those for like over 2 years now. Any of the... I may have done a couple in the car. Yeah, I might have done a couple like from the car. But as far as like in the big truck on the road, it's been almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in probably the end of January is when I stopped driving the big truck. Surfer Norm says, after the show, look this story up. In Order to Live, A North Korean Girl's Journey to Freedom by Yeonmi Park. It's on the strange. It's on. Oh, it's one of the strangest true stories I've ever heard. Sounds interesting. Susie Jones says live music tonight. Yep. Yeah, I know. People. I think you're the second person to bring that up about Diane Russell, and I highly recommend it. I'm going to go on tonight too. But I still highly recommend checking out Diane. She's a great singer, great performer. And that will be a great way to bring in the new year. So, but I'm going to be on too, and I might be on, and I might just be steering people over to Diane's channel. So anyone who comes onto my channel, I might just go, there's a really great channel right now with some great music. You might want to check out. I don't know. I'm still going to go on, but I don't begrudge anyone going over to Diane's channel, especially if she's going to be singing and rocking out. It'd be a great show. Robert Perez says, I was hatched behind a trash bin at a Taco Bell in Cucamonga. Good old Cucamonga. They tried to fancy it up. Speaking of fancy, they tried to fancy it up a few years ago, or it's been a while now, but they changed Cucamonga to Rancho Cucamonga. Sounds much better, doesn't it? Fancy says, I have never watched any of your truck driving videos. Well, there's a whole bunch of them. If you go onto my channel, I have under playlists. I have lots of trucking videos. If you want to, if you ever have some spare time, you want to check one out, go check it out. Christina Weilo says, that's what I'm doing, John. You're calming me down. This issue is happening on Facebook from my brother who's in New York. He called me a liar and a thief. Never in my life. Christina, I can relate to that in a way. Like, I haven't spoken to my sister and brother since 2016. And like I've said, I didn't block them. I didn't stop they're the ones that stopped the communication with me because they didn't like, I guess, how I felt about Trump, and they were total maggots. They're total maggots. And I guess I said some things that they didn't like, and so they're the ones that cut off the relationship. But so I can relate to that, I'm gonna go get some water. I forgot to grab a water earlier, so let me go grab a water. I'll be right back. I'll be right back after this message. Well, there's no message. All right, I'm back. I tend to get a little dry throat as I go through the show. Laura Lee's got to run to the store. See you later. All right. Yeah, go stock up on your New Year's Eve supplies, I guess. Non-useful says, breaking news, U.S. strikes Houthi targets in Yemen. An escalating campaign. Non-useful come in with the headlines today. Big Dog says, at Chris Doug, Hal does go fast, so I mostly watch there. I like the smaller shows like Trucker John and Buster Brian for chatting. Yeah, I was in a chat the other night. I was on the Habituation room with that Francesca girl, and when she was when she had Jink Uger, and that chat is so fast. It was just crazy. David Windler, I was born by the river in a little tent, Aretha Franklin. Robert Perez, yes, Big Dog, I'm same way about Hal's show. Michael Bagander says, Christina, I'm 67. Just sit back and ignore him. It will work out in the long run. Over engaging can lead to more problems. It's human nature. Roxanne Epstein says, I hate how Donald and the maggots tear families apart. It's tragic. Yeah, I mean, I've lived through, Reagan. I lived through Nixon, and Reagan and the first Bush. And I've had disagreements with family in all those times, politically. Even as a 12-year-old when Nixon was president or whatever. But it never split us up. It never made us go 8 years without talking to each other. Of course, my brother and sister weren't even born until the Carter administration, but other family members too. It never split us up until Trump. Big Dog says, "Get me some coffee while you're up." Trucker John. Roxanne Epstein says, "Hal has thousands in the chat. It's impossible to chat there, but occasionally I'll get Hal to read them out loud." Yeah, every now and then he'll get one. Say Hal says, Roxanne Arfield, yeah, it's kind of nice hitting a stream with less viewers. Then you can start pushing into the thousands chatting as a chore. There's Jolie got Trucker John channel. Yeah, there's about memberships, super chats, subscribe, share, like, buy me a coffee, all that good stuff. Thanks, Jolie, for putting that up. Good reminders there. Christina says, I've already taken steps. We'll be leaving Facebook soon and going to Blue Sky. I still have my Facebook. I don't really, other than X, I did deactivate X. But other than that, I just keep all of them. I don't see any harm in keeping like Facebook. If you don't want to go on it, don't go on it. But I don't like deactivate them or whatever. Yakety Smack says, I think I was filtered or blocked out on Hal last night. I don't know. Probably Yakety Smack, knowing you. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Fancy says Liberal Dan is good for chatting. Yeah, Liberal Dan was on last night. Liberal Dan, another great show. Best show on the internet as far as I'm concerned. And you guys, if you're not watching Liberal Dan, you need to. He's on every Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Time. So adjust accordingly to your time zone. Mondays, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Central Time, Liberal Dan. Right here on YouTube. You guys should check him out. And there's the link that Jolie put down there. I see it there. So there's the link to Liberal Dan's channel. You can go there. You can subscribe. Give him a sub. And then on those days, go and watch. He'll be on tomorrow night. He's going to be on tomorrow night. Non-Musel says, hey, Trucker John, question. Were you born in a hospital, at home, or on the way to the hospital? Curious minds. I was born in a hospital. I was born in Northridge Hospital in Northridge, California, which is in the San Fernando Valley, which is just 30 miles north of L.A. So there, I guess that answers that. In a hospital, yes. It's funny, my grandfather's wife, because that was his second wife. So my grandfather's wife was a nurse on duty at there. She wasn't in the delivery. I don't think maybe she didn't work in the where they deliver babies, but she was. I remember she was. I was always told. I don't remember it, but I was always told that Faye, her name was Faye. She was there when I was born in the hospital, and she knew my mom was in labor, and she was there. One of the people that was there. You kind of like checking on her or whatever, but so had that connection, and of course Grandpa was there, and of course my dad was there. Everyone was there to welcome me to the world in Northridge, California, in 1960, the year of our Lord. Anyhow, Michael McAdler says, I was a typesetter for many years, handset and hot metal, and then photo typesetting. Doesn't mean I can't spell, but I can't read sideways and upside down, right? Eileen Koss says, now to the floor for physical therapy exercises. Non-useless says, Scottish ruling eliminated the requirement for cities to offer another place to stay before banning homeless people from sleeping in public. Some cities are now considering closing shelters altogether, which is really stupid. Christina Weibel says family stress is making me want to leave Facebook, but I don't know. Might rethink that. Well, I didn't mean to talk you out of it or whatever. Do whatever you feel is right. Like I say, I haven't spoken with my brother and sister since 2016. My sister blocked me, but her husband and her kids and my brother are all on Facebook. I've communicated with the husband and with my nephews, just like the birthdays pop up and I'll say happy birthday and they'll respond, they'll say thanks. That's about the extent of it. I've wished my brother, who apparently hasn't blocked me because I can still see my brother's account, and I've gone on there and wished him a happy birthday. I finally this year I think I gave up. I didn't wish him a happy birthday. I probably should have because he never responded to it. So I was like, well, okay, I guess but it's a personal thing. It's up to you. Do what you want. But no matter what, it's tough, and it's a sad thing when families get broken up over these political issues. But and like I said, I've lived through Nixon, I've lived through Reagan, I've lived through both the Bushes, and I've had disagreements with my family before about those presidents and those administrations, but it never broke us up. It never made us go 8 years now, however long it's been. What 2016? This is 2024. Yeah, that's 8 going on 9 years where me and my sister and brother have not spoken since about mid 2016, or just prior to probably even earlier than mid 2016. A few months into, well, let's see. I guess it would have been 2017 because Trump was elected in 2016, became president in 2017. It was probably early 2017, so it's been 7 going on 8 years, I guess, where we have not spoken, and that's how. Yeah, Nixon's bad, Reagan's bad, the Bushes were bad, but apparently not so bad that it would break up families like Trump has done. MAGA is so divisive. Mad Mac, Lib Dan's a good show. Yep, it is. The best show on the internet, god damn it. Pam J. Northridge, remember when the earthquake knocked the freeway down? Of course I remember that. I was living in Palmdale. Well, I was actually living in Lancaster, which is out in the desert, about 60 miles or so, or at least 60 where I lived, at least 60 miles or so from the epicenter. It shook me out of bed. Sleeping in my bed shook me right out of my bed. And that was 60 miles away. I was working in Van Nuys at the time and could not get to work because the overpasses were all collapsed. And I remember it took like about a week. A lot of people commuted from where I lived down to the valley. That's what they call it, the San Fernando Valley. They just call it the valley. And there's a lot of us that I worked at the post office in Van Nuys. It was the main distribution center there, and a lot of people lived in the high desert where I lived and commuted, and we couldn't get down there for about a week. And the overpasses were down, but then they were able to clear roads and make where you could take a big detour and get around it. But it took about a week to get it to where we could even get to work. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, so I remember it. Let's see. Nick Rich Liberal does some great rants. Tim Farrell Flipakowski is good. He's not as good as Liberal Dan. Tim. Brooklyn, New York, 471. I love Chinese food and alcohol. Well, there you go. Who needs anything other than that? Christina Weibel, I watched Boston Brian. You know what? Full confession, I guess, or full disclosure. Is that what it is? I haven't really watched Boston Brian the last few weeks because I've been watching so much football. I'm sorry, Boston Brian. I love you. I might catch a little bit of the replay, but I'm watching. I gotta watch my football. I gotta watch my football, man. Now, unusual. I left Facebook in 2017 after Trump banned me. Haven't went back on any social chat. Trump banned you from Facebook? I didn't know he could do that. Chris Doug, my grandmother was visiting her cousin in Northridge during the earthquake. They both escaped unscathed, but her condo was ruined. Yeah, a lot of houses got red tagged or whatever. Big Dog says, I have Facebook for family and school friends, so I don't bring up politics with them. Wouldn't make a positive, useful difference, though. And Michael Mandro, sometimes you can look at something and not see the mistake. Roxanne says, yeah, I don't talk politica on Facebook. I saved that for Blue Sky. I tried that. I have about 4 or 5 different page. I guess what do you call them? Pages on Facebook. I've got my regular John Fowler one. That's my main one. Then I have Progressive Radio Station list. I've got Trucker Vlogs, I think it's called. I've got Feet on the Dashboard. I made that because I made a movie called Feet on the Dashboard. And I've got, I think that's a separate one. Maybe not. And then because I also have John Fowler filmmaker page because I was trying to be a filmmaker. I have all these different pages. I guess Defend on Dashboard is part of that. And then I also have Electric Cars to Save the World, where I was just posting stuff about electric cars. These are all like 15 years ago. I was way ahead of the curve. And so I thought, with my progressive voices, my progressive radio station list page on Facebook, that would give me an outlet to just make that where I would just do all my political stuff. And then on my main Facebook page, I would just keep it to just like family stuff, friend stuff. And I try to do that as much as possible. But, my sister at the time, when we were still speaking, she was just posting so much political stuff on the that I would see on my main page, and I would respond to it, and call her out for for the disinformation she was spreading, and she didn't like that, apparently. Pam J says, my bros don't do Facebook, so that's probably a good thing. Marsha says, Christina Weibel, I've only been on YouTube until recently when I joined Blue Sky. Lots of people have Facebook for family pictures, family news, etc. I wouldn't know how reliable it is for news. We probably shouldn't be getting our news from social platforms like Facebook anyhow, or even Blue Sky. I mean, we should try to find if we're going to go on the internet for news, try to find good AP, the Associated Press. Try to find. I think I stand by AP. I think they're pretty much straight news, but try to stay away from things that are totally biased, whether it's left wing or right wing or whatever. Try to find stuff that's just straight up news. Pam J, your brother says things like women have too much power. Christina Weibel, my brother, and somebody aren't friends on Facebook, and he commented on his daughter's post telling me to stay away from his kids and him, just like a stupid man to use his kids as weapons. Yeah, that's kind of stupid. Eileen Call says, my sister chicken necked her support for 45. I don't know what that means. Saying he won't let those Mexicans take our jobs. The irony is that we are Americans, 5 years. Yeah, that's odd. It's a bit odd. Hey, Josh is here. Hey, loungers. Hey, Josh. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out with us in the old driver's lounge where we hang out on this New Year's Eve day. We are now. It's still New Year's Eve morning for me. I know a lot of you folks. It's New Year's Eve afternoon. Paul Shargamanian, those were the days, my friends. I thought would never end. Those were the days, my friends. Jan Morgan's here. Hey, Jan, good to see you. I says I usually pop in to give Trucker John a thumbs up and a lurk. But I wanted to wish all a happy New Year. Got to run and see if I can find some doggy tranks. Poor girl just can't handle fireworks. Yeah, that's pretty sad for a lot of the pets. Whenever the 4th of July, New Year's Eve, especially, those are the two big ones. They have the fireworks, and yeah. So thanks, Jen. Thanks for popping in, and you have yourself a great New Year's Eve, regardless. And yeah, I hope the pups there get through the night. Christina Weibel says, I don't watch Facebook for news, lots of fake stuff. I only get my news from independent news channels here on YouTube. The real big news channel I found is PBS News on YouTube. Pam J, that's where Valley Girls came from, San Fernando. Right, exactly. Absolutely. For sure. Jolie says, I don't think I could ever part with Facebook. Been there too long and have too many memories stored there. Also, I like seeing what people I went to school with are doing, although I did recently do a MAGA purge. I've had a lot of my old schoolmates or whatever that have end up blocking me. Not a lot, but probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 maybe. And the first little batch was in 2016 after Trump won, and they were just, there was this group of my old classmates that were just giddy about Trump winning, and they just loved him, and they loved that he won, and he's so great and wonderful. And then to one of them, it was part of a thread, but I'll just cut to this. I just said, I said something like, "So you wouldn't mind if I just went up to you and grabbed you by the pussy?" And everyone's response was like, "Oh my God, you're crazy," or you're that's out of line, and well, I'm going to report you, and all this kind of shit, And I'm like, hey, look, I'm just saying the same shit that Trump says. That's your hero. That's your idol. And then the woman that I said this to, she actually fucking said this. She actually said, it's okay when he says it. That's what she said. And then wasn't that long afterwards, remember we started seeing T-shirts like, he can grab me by the pussy. Women would wear these shirts like, Trump can grab me by the pussy. So they're so fucking deranged. They say that we have this derangement syndrome or whatever. These motherfuckers are so fucking deranged that they are completely fine with Trump saying things like, I just go up and grab women by the pussy. I don't know. That's like cult-like behavior. That no one else can say that. I can't say that. No, apparently no one else can say that. But when Trump says it, it's fine and dandy. They're completely fine and okay with it. Explain that one to me. Like I said, they're in a fucking cult. And they ended up, a couple of those women in that thread, whatever that was, they ended up blocking me and all this kind of shit. And I was like, fuck you. Go ahead and block me. I don't give a fuck. And then just recently on this latest election, after Trump won, there was a guy who, former classmate, but we were never really friends. He graduated, I think, a couple years ahead of me. But I knew who he was, and he was a big part of the high school reunion stuff that they just did this year, I guess, which I didn't go to, and I wish I would have because they had it here in Vegas. I should have gone, but I got to know him a lot during that whole process, leading up to the because he'd been planning this for like years before, and then so anyhow, I ended up buying 3 of their T-shirts, to help to raise funds for the thing and everything. And after Trump won, he started posting stuff like we didn't vote, we didn't, because I didn't say anything, but there was a lot of stuff being said about how Trump was a felon and a rapist and all that kind of stuff, and a criminal and a crook and a grifter. So then this guy Ted, his name's Ted, he posted something like, we didn't, it wasn't that we don't, how did he word it? I don't know. It was something about like, it wasn't about the felonies and the criminal thing. We voted for him because we don't want our kids being indoctrinated in schools and shit like that. It's like they had this little list of things, and we don't want trans athlete trans or we don't want. They don't say that. They say we don't want boys playing girls sports and all this kind of it was just a little laundry list of things. And so I just sort of said, I don't know. I said something. What did I say? I went in there. I don't know. I said something. I think I dropped an F-bomb or something. And, oh, God forbid you drop an F-bomb. Then all of a sudden then I become the crazy man. I'm the one that's out of line and acting irrationally because I dropped an F-bomb. And he ended up blocking me. So fuck you, Ted. By the way. Non-usual says the homeless includes nearly 500,000 people staying in shelters or transitional housing and another 274,000 who were unsheltered or sleeping in places like sidewalks, transit stations. Abandoned buildings and parked cars. Yeah, we're the richest goddamn nation in the world. We could provide low-cost housing for everybody. Get people into shelters and get them into houses, and we could give everyone a little bit of money for some food, and instead of either jailing them or I don't know, shipping them out and all that kind of stuff, Anyhow, Mr. Spock is here. Good to see you. Live long and prosper. Happy New Year's Eve morning or afternoon where you're at. Good to see you. Spock says, howdy, everyone just got in from a moped run. Another motorcyclist actually waved at me. Well, there you go. It's a good day. It's a good day. Music, where can this movie be found? Well, maybe Jolie will put the link in for me. I have a channel right here on YouTube called Feet on the Dashboard. And the movie is posted on that channel. And it's about it's only about an 8, it's a short, it's only about 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes. I wrote and directed this masterpiece. I did not star in it. I've got 2 lovely folks in it who acted in it, and they are great actors. But it's called Feet on the Dashboard, if you want to check it out. I made that, I guess we released it or posted it in 2012. So it's been out for a while, and it actually got into a film festival right here in Las Vegas, and I wasn't even living in Vegas at the time. I was still living in California. Non-usual says roughly 1 in every 5 of the people included in the count were aged 55 or older. Nearly a third of those experiencing homelessness, or 32%, identified as Black or Asian or African American. Thank you for that breakdown. Non-usual goes on to say, despite making up just 12% of the country's population overall. So it is disproportionate, just like so many things, right? Christina Weibel says, I have 2 profiles under my name. My son and his wife live in New Hampshire, and my great-grandchildren are there too. I get pictures through Facebook. Yeah, that's what a lot of people use Facebook for. Let's see. Josh says, my wife does Facebook stuff and lets me know if anything happens to anyone. Paul Sharkymanian says, sadly, there will be lots of poor sods living on the street tonight. Yeah. And I think we could solve it if we really, really wanted to. I think there's plenty of programs or plenty of studies that have been done that it's cheaper for governments to just provide a house and provide a little bit of money, a little bit of food, and then open up opportunities for whatever, if it's skill trainings or education, whatever it is, people that can go to work, people that There might be people that can't if they're either mentally or physically disabled. It's cheaper in the long run to deal with those issues than it is to just keep kicking the can down the road, and certainly cheaper than just locking people up in a prison or a jail. Anyhow, Robert Perez says, Johnny, if you shave your beard, I can see you being the next Walter Cronkite. Good evening. This is Walter Cronkite. I remember old Walter. Roxanne Epstein says PBS NewsHour and Democracy Now! Are good for Look at the World News. Although I do think Democracy Now! Can be a bit biased, actually. Try to find something that's as unbiased as possible. Tim Farrell says, saying Flipikowski is good is not saying Dan, is it? I was messing with you, Tim. Brian's okay too. I don't find he repeats others' talking points without his own insights. He is sincere, except when he laughs. And of course, Trucker John is numero uno. David Windler says Northridge quake 6.8 dropped 7 feet in 1 second, destroyed the UCNR buildings, churches, apartments. Yeah, lots of buildings got. There was some that got pancaked. Parking garages. There was some apartment buildings where you could see like one whole level just came down on it. It was scary. It was awful. Fancy said it shook Hollywood pretty good. Yeah, I bet you were even closer than I was. I'm sure it gave you a good jolt. Josh says, Roxanne, I was pissed when people shot off fireworks during the eclipse. Mr. Spock, the Norses have the neighbors. The Norses have horses. The neighbors have horses. It's a no firework zone. Marcia says PBS is mostly okay. It's changed some since Gwen Eiffel days. David Windler, I was in Hollywood for Northridge. Transformers were blowing up. Things were jumping up and down. Yeah. It was pretty hairy. Pretty hairy one. Roxanne says, "Well, Trucker John, they must have zero self-esteem." Yeah. Talking about the women who apparently have no problem with Trump touching their, as Liberal Dan would say. How does Liberal Dan always say it? Their woo-ha, their woo-ha, or whatever he says. Reverend says they're proud to be deplorable. Proud to be deplorable. Mad Max says cults usually end up all committing suicide at the end. I don't know, but yeah, sometimes that happens. Big Dog NC says, I'm convinced 1/3 of humans are susceptible to cult leaders like Trump. I'm glad I didn't have that gene. The only cult you need to be a part of is the Trucker John cult. We're a good cult. We're not a bad cult. We're a good cult. But we're proud to be deplorable. Big Dog says, in a world of Trumps, be like Jimmy Carter. I think I saw that meme going around. That was a good one. Josh says, jailing homeless people is way more expensive than helping them. Exactly. Exactly what I was saying, Josh. Thanks for backing me up on that one. Thanks for the backup. Michael McAndrew says, jailing someone because they're homeless is wrong. I agree. And it doesn't work. Who was it? Was it Francesca? Who was it I was watching? Or one of the YouTubers was saying that in Florida, of all places, there was some place in Florida where they had a lot of homeless people, I guess they started this thing where they were getting people into houses, and I guess they were giving them a little bit of cash, and then they would help people find jobs, or they would help people with their problems and their issues. But is mainly they would provide a house, provide I think a little bit of cash, and the homelessness went down by 90%. And the cost analysis was that it was cheaper to do that than it was to not do anything, or if they're jailing the people, or they're sticking them on buses and making them somebody else's problem. That in the long run, it was cheaper to just get them into some housing, get them off the streets, get them into a house, get them into shelter. Not shelter like a shelter, like a homeless shelter, but an actual either a house or an apartment. I'm not sure exactly what the housing was, but they got them into some type of a house, and their homelessness dropped by 90%. That's basically, wiping out homelessness, if you ask me. Tim Frill says democracy now is great. Nah, I don't. I don't. I used to. I don't know. I just find them to be very, very left wing biased, and I consider myself to be a liberal, and even sometimes progressive in many ways. As far as, but as I've learned that a lot of what I was told was progressive, being progressive is actually mainstream when it comes to Medicare for all, when it comes to gun safety laws, when it comes to abortion rights and reproductive rights. A lot of people want to make it out that means you're a progressive, but if you look at the statistics, it's pretty mainstream. And I know some of you guys, you love democracy now. I just find them to be a little too biased and a little too cozy with assholes like what's his face? Who's the guy who moved? He lives in Brazil now. That motherfucker. Christina, why was this 21st Century Suffragette show? I'll be watching tonight on YouTube. Starts at 9 p.m. Hope there's a lot of music. There will be. That's what she's going to do, I think, is music. So, yeah. And there's the link to Feed on the Dashboard. Thank you, Jolie. There it is right there. If you guys want to check it out at your leisure. It's not a perfect movie. Every time I watch it, I'm like, God, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have taken more time on that. I wish I would have done a different take on this. But it is what it is. And it was sort of at the time, what I was hoping to do was to make some shorts, what they call shorts, some short films, and then from there go into lead that into my feature film career. But it never happened. It never worked out. And I got into truck driving. Actually, I'd already been truck driving, but I was on this schedule at the time. I was a company driver, but I was on this. They had this one like program with Schneider, where you would go out for. I want to say this right. I think you would go out for 3 weeks, and then be home for 2 weeks, which was cool. Which was really cool. So during that 2 weeks, that's what I would do. I was doing this filming. So I wrote the film. I did all the pre-production that I could, and then during my 2 weeks, actually because we just did it in we filmed it in 2 days. So during that 2 week break, I set up a time. Well, because first in the pre-production, I was doing auditions. So I remember I did a couple of my 2 week breaks, 2 or 3 of those where I was holding auditions for the characters. There's only 2 characters in it. And then eventually, we got all that done, and then I scheduled the filming during one of my 2 week breaks, and we did it in 2 days. And then there was another one that I had a third day where I did some pickup shots, and see both of the actors, they live down in L.A., and we filmed way out in El Mirage Lake. I guess it's El Mirage Lake, just a dry lake bed, which is out in the desert. So it was kind of a far drive for them to do that. So it wasn't like I could just keep bringing them back, and they're working for free. It was a no pay gig, so I couldn't demand or ask too much of them as far as making all these trips. I did give them some gas money. I think I did give them each like $50. I think I gave them $50 to pay for some of their gas money. And I think they might have drove after like the second day. I think they might have drove together or something. I don't know. But anyhow, there it is. There's the link. Thank you, Jolie. If you guys want to check it out, it was a fun experience. I had a great time doing it. I had a little crew. I had an editor. I had a sound guy, a camera guy, and I had worked on so many movies as an extra. Every time I worked as an extra, I really used that time to just watch. I would get as close to the directors and to the the whole production crew as close as I could, and just to watch them, because I felt like this was the film school I never got to go to. So as a background, I was always watching how they were making the movies. So when I did my movie, Feet on the Dashboard, I really ran that as though I had a multi-million-dollar budget. I ran it the same way. I had the same mentality, even though we didn't. We did things on a we were duct taping the camera to the car, for crying out loud, to do our driving shots. And I just duct taped that son of a gun to the side of the rear view mirror, the side mirror. And but still, I ran it like I had a little craft services going. I mean, I ran it like it was a really good, I think, a good production. It was a good film, a good filming experience. But still, when I watch it, I'm like, God, I wish I would have done a little something different on this take. I wish I would have had them do more takes, but I really only had them for that first day. And then where we tried to shoot as much as possible in that first day, and then we were losing sunlight, and I really couldn't do a lot of takes because I wasn't sure if I think we came back the second day, and then we were in a completely different location for the second day, and I could only do so many takes, and I was just wishing if I could do it over again, I would have put them up in a hotel and said, hey, we're going to take the whole week, or we're going to take 5 days or whatever. You guys, here, I'll put you up in this hotel. And then I would have had the luxury of a little bit more time. That was the mistake that I made, and looking back on it, But anyhow, check it out if you can see, and then check it out. And if you guys check it out, you can either leave comments on the movie there. Let me know what you think, or you can come back and make comments here or whatever. And you don't have to go watch it now. You can watch it whenever. But if you do watch it, in the comments for the film, let me know what you thought. Let me know. I can take it. There's been some comments in there that said this is stupid, and it's like, why would she do that, or why would he do that? And I'm like, I know it's not perfect. It's just roll with it. Just roll with it, But there's some people that have criticized the film, and I'm a big boy. I've got somewhat thick skin, I think. I'm not going to, curl up in a little ball and ball my head off if someone doesn't like the film or criticizes the film or whatever. But when you go in there, check it out. Give me a thumbs up, hopefully, and make a comment and let me know what you thought of it. And I think I'll read those. That'll be fun. And I would like to make another movie. I'm not going to be I think the ship has sailed on me being the next Steven Spielberg or whoever, fill in the blank, right? But I think I still got enough time where I could make a movie or two. It might not be a big, long, illustrious career, but I think I still got a movie in me, a feature-length movie. That's why back in 2012, and in 2012, I was not a young man. I was, how fucking old was I? 52? Wait, yeah, I think so. I was like 50, 51 when we were filming, 51 or 52, whatever. So it's not like I was a young man then, but this has been a kind of an aspiration my whole life of being a filmmaker, a writer and a filmmaker and all that kind of stuff. But and so the idea, I really wanted to make like 3 or 4 shorts, get better and better at each one. This was my first one. Well, actually, I did some student films, a couple of little student films. There's one called The Teacher that I had made just a few years prior to this one. I was taking some film classes in my, I guess, what was I, early 40s, I guess. So I wasn't a young man when I was doing all this stuff. But I made a couple shorts, did some film editing, some camera work, some writing, directing. So I did a couple there, and then this one here I made it wasn't a student film. This was just me and this other sort of little group that they were trying to make their own little production company. They wanted to make some films too, and that we were going to have this sort of teamwork here, this sort of collaboration where we were going to make some films, and I just couldn't do it. Financially, I just couldn't do it because doing it that schedule, that 3 weeks out and 2 weeks on off, it just was killing me financially. And unless my kids were still very young then, and I was really needing to make income to help out with the kids and stuff. So I just didn't make any more films after this one because of that, because of the financial situation. But my goal was to make, like, say, 3 or 4 shorts, maybe make each one a little bit longer, a little bit more complex. Maybe work my way up to like a 30-minute short, and then after that, work on a feature, like a 90-minute or a 2-hour feature. And it never happened. But like I said, I think I'm still young enough. I could maybe get 1 or 2 of those in. Maybe do a couple shorts. Maybe get that feature. Maybe I'll get, if I can get one feature length movie that I could be proud of before I kick the bucket. Maybe that will be. I guess I'll just have to be happy with that. Anyhow, there it is. There's the link. Feed on the dashboard. Check it out. Let me know what you think of it. And if you do that, I really appreciate it. Okay, I'm just skipping down here in the chats. Roxanne says, I'm mid-thread. Something about if we do Robert, pity the poor people. Josh says, people used to have a garden cottage for a hermit. It was a sign of wealth at one time. Michael McAndrews, I was born in California and learned early that the rock we live on is not stable. I remember dishes falling off the shelves. Oh, yeah, I've lived through a lot of earthquakes, little tremors, earthquakes, dozens and dozens of them. Paul Struggemanian, they're all nut jobs. Fuck a lot of them. I guess we're talking about maybe maggots or something. Michael Andrews says, actually, Mr. Spock, now that I think about it, you were dealing with a spoiled cat. Michael McAndrews, my cat is spoiled. Mr. Spock, how long did the monkey makeup take to put on, TJ, when you did Planet of the Apes? For me, not long, because that was just a pullover mask. So, and we had a costume. You put on underneath. They had these sort of styrofoam kind of like muscles that you put on, and then over that you put on a costume over that, and then you just had a mask. The only makeup I really had to do, I had to go into makeup, and they would put just black around your eyes, and I guess sort of around wherever the openings were, kind of like at your mouth and stuff, just so that none of your skin would show through. That was it for us. Now, the main actors, like, was it Michael Clark Duncan, right? The big dude from the Green Mile or whatever. He was in it. All those kind of, Paul Giamatti was an orangutan. Of course, Michael MCD, as we called him, he was one of the big gorilla. They were in the makeup chair because they had it actually applied to their face. They had applications. And I don't know. I think I heard that those were like 2 or 3 hours for them to do theirs. But everybody else, other than the featured actors that were going to be in close-ups and speaking, everyone else just had pullover masks. Even the stunts, that a lot of the stunt guys and gals that might be closer to the shots, they had pullovers also, but their masks were a little bit, I think, even more detailed than ours. But ours were pretty good. So much so that people were stealing them and trying to sell them. At that time, I guess it was eBay was the big thing. And they had a bunch of people just like extras, just like taking them home. So then they made it where you had, when you picked up your mask, you'd have to turn your mask in every night to the wardrobe department. And then the next morning when you checked in, you had to leave your driver's license or a state ID with them in order to get your mask, because people were, like I said, they had, like, we would have these meetings and they were like, we know what you're doing. We know you're trying to sell them on eBay. We're not stupid. We have internet also, and we go on eBay and we see the mask. So you're going to be caught. And if you're caught, basically they would just fire you. I don't think they ever like press charges against anybody. But you would be fired and you would be put on probably like a blacklist where you wouldn't be able to be an extra anywhere. At least not with any of their productions. But anyhow, yeah. So that wasn't. It was basically just a pullover mask, but it was a very, very good one. Let's see. According to Nick, I'm about 8 minutes behind. David Wheeler says a great tough shed for homeless is $50 a month, financed by Home Depot. Where to put it? I don't know. There's lots of, like I said, there are programs going on where they figure out all the logistics of it. Michael McAndrews, I like your dreams, John. May some come true to you. Thank you, Michael. Roxanne says, cool. That sounds like a good goal, TJ, to make a feature-length film. It's my dream too. Wow. Well, Roxanne, so that's kind of cool to hear of another filmmaker in the chat here, or at least we have aspirations for that. Robin M. David Lynch is a parallel universe. Michael McAndrews, I remember sort of a purple something movie. William says Tarantino never went to film school, and look at his career, right? And I sort of, I think I could have been Tarantino if things had just gone a little differently. If I had done things a little differently in my life earlier, like when I was in my 20s, I think I could have been fucking Tarantino. And I say that, and I don't mean that in a conceited way or anything. Robert Perez says, Johnny, you should be a director of porn movies. That way nobody will complain after the show. I don't know what that means. Mr. Spock says, maybe I'll try again with some shrooms. Okay, you do that. Darkly Yours is here. Happy New Year, trucklers. Hey, Darkly Yours, thanks for being here. Good to see you. And Happy New Year back at you. And like I said, I'm planning on coming on later tonight. I know Diane's going to be on, and I would rather watch Diane. But I just feel compelled, like I should be on tonight. So, what can I tell you? What can I tell you? Yakety Smack says, make a movie about your first attempt making a movie. Robin M says, shrooms with a razor head, liquid sky, more fun to watch. Marcia says, I have to go now, Trucker John. Have a safe New Year's Eve, everybody. Thank you. Well, thank you, Marcia. Thanks for hanging out with us for the time that you were here. And you have a good and safe and happy New Year yourself. Roxanne says, cool, you were a monkey and I was a gorilla. I was not a chimp. I remember when I went in for the fittings, or like before you got cast, we had to meet up, and we had to show our athletic, I guess, or our physical abilities. And I went there with my brother. We were still talking to each other. Me and my brother. My brother is 16 years younger than I am, but we're basically the same size and build and everything. And well, actually, I think my brother's a little bit shorter than me, maybe a couple inches shorter than me. And they were putting us through. They had these mats. They had a big room, and they had these mats down, and they had us doing these things like that I did in all my football days. It was like monkey, like they would call them in football. They called them monkey rolls. And for this little test they were putting us through, there were like hundreds of people going out for this. And so we were doing like monkey rolls, and we're doing like what we called bear crawls in football. We were like bear crawling, and I did it like it was like second nature to me. All this shit, because this is stuff I had been doing for years and years and years of football. We were doing bear crawls, monkey rolls, all kinds of stuff like that. My brother never played football ever, and he was never athletic, never did anything like that, and he was having a real hard time with it. And I felt really bad for him. And he didn't make it. I made it, and he didn't make it. As far as like, because they would tell you, I forget how they did it, but like they would let you know if you made it. I think they told us that day because they were fitting. I remember they were already fitting me and taking my measurements down. Because these costumes were, even though they were just costumes that you put on, they were custom. Tailored basically for you, and they took me off to the side and they started doing my measurements and stuff. And I remember they were looking at me and they were going, they're like, I think you're too short for a gorilla. And so they go, so I think we should fit him for a chimp. And I didn't want to be a chimp. I wanted to be a gorilla. And I go, too short? And they go, yeah, because the gorillas have to be bigger. I go, I'm 6 feet tall. And they're like, no, you're not 6 feet tall. And I go, I'm 6 feet tall. There's your tape measure. Measure me. And they measured me, and I'm exactly 72 inches. And I go, that's 6 feet. And they go, all right, make him a gorilla. They were this close to making me a goddamn chimp, and I didn't want to be a chimp. Do I look like a fucking chimp? I'm a gorilla, goddammit. I think on my channel here, I think I do have a playlist for Planet of the Apes. Right, Jolie? Do I have the playlist on this channel for Planet of the Apes? So you can go to my channel and go on my playlists, and I believe I have. I think I do, because I know I have it on Facebook. I think a photo gallery or whatever. But I think on here, I think I have a playlist for that. If you want to check out my Planet of the Apes, and tell me if I should have been a chimp or a gorilla, for God's sakes. But it was a great time. We filmed all that out in the desert, out in Trona, California. And the main part, like we would go back, and we just stayed in hotels there. We just stayed because it was so far out. We didn't drive home or whatever. We just drove back to Ridgecrest. And it was like the cast, the crew, Tim Burton, all of the wardrobe. The wardrobe head was, God, what's her name? She's Academy Award winning. She's won Academy Awards for her wardrobe. God, I can't remember her name. I mean, we all, after doing 14-hour days and 16-hour days, and a lot of us would still end up at a bar in Ridgecrest, all elbow to elbow. Mark Wahlberg, Giamatti, Burton, all of it. We'd be at the bar drinking some beers before we went to our rooms to crash out. Anyhow, Big Dog, make a movie about a retired truck driver that has a YouTube channel following where the hero of the story balances that with driving Uber Lyft. Guy, I'm going to get pitched a lot of ideas, I can see. Darkly Yours says, I have stuff today. Just wanted to be do a round of likes before this awful year is over. And if you think this year is awful, I hate to tell you this. Anyhow, thank you, Darkly Yours, for being here. Actually, this year wasn't too bad. 2025 is going to be the shit year. But anyhow, Darkly Yours, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Michael McManus with a $20 super chat. Yippee, Michael. Thank you so much. That's not far behind you. I'm just not getting to it. Michael says, Happy New Year's, everyone. Hiccup. I hiccup too. Got to go to the store, refill my meds later. Hey, Michael, thank you so much for being here. You have a great, if you're still here, I don't know. Hopefully this will get to you somehow. But have a great and happy New Year. Hopefully, maybe I'll see you tonight if you want to check in over here. But you have a good one, Michael. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of the show, being a part of the chat, and for all your support. Kimchi says cities don't want tiny homes; they want big homes with big taxes. Exactly. I mean, they've had that problem here in Vegas. There's a gal, her and her husband. They own a tiny home factory down by Boulder City, I think, was where the factory is, and they're trying to get these. This is a few years ago, so I'm not sure. I don't know what happened, but they were trying to get these tiny homes in Vegas to help with housing shortages and help low income people. And they were posting some videos that they taped of them being at like city council meetings, and where the city council is just shooting them down left and right, saying nope, we don't want them. And my takeaway was these are just some of these rich, snooty city council people that need to be voted off the city council. I believe there's a time and there's a place for everything. And we have a huge homeless problem here in the Vegas area. And if the tiny homes would help, then I'm all for it. It doesn't mean we're going to put them right next to your fucking big mega mansions, I mean, we can figure out, that can all be worked out, Paul Sharkymanian says, without an official abode, you can't move on, build houses. It's not like you haven't enough land. Right. There's a lot of land here in America. Josh says, do a zombie movie and call it Invasion of the Pussy Grabbers. Kimchi says, here you can have an ADU, but can't rent it out. How would they know? No snitches around here. Well, I've got over 2.5 hours already. Roxanne says, Roxanne says, I love Tarantino. Me too. He's my favorite, I think, favorite movie maker. Christina Weibel says, I hate to say this, Florida has basically outlawed homelessness. I think it's sick, really. I spent the latter part of 30 years on the streets of Massachusetts. So glad I'm with my dad. Surfer Nome, I like Democracy Now! For headlines, and Al Jazeera, I think is a pretty good source. For Middle East and BBC France 24 and DW are good to see how the world goes. Says, I'm at over 2.5 hours. Roxanne, gorilla, even cooler. Yeah, I was a gorilla. I'm going to skip down a little bit. See how it says, damn Trucker John going on a marathon. Yeah, I and here I was really tired and stuff because I didn't get much sleep, and here I'm going on and on and on. Nick Rich, you don't look like a chimp. Thank you, Nick. I look more like a gorilla, right? You don't look like a. Robin says you don't look like a chimp or a chump. Oh, thank you. I'll take whatever compliments I get. So it says Trucker John, a gorilla can use one arm and pull himself up onto a tree branch using one arm. Prove it. In my day, at the time of that movie, I don't think I could, but in my youth, in my prime, I could probably do that. Yakety Smack, chimps are aggressive, TJ. You're gentle like a gorilla, Reagan. See there? Thank you, Yakety Smack. Yeah, I'm not a chimp. Anyhow, Roxanne, you're definitely a gorilla. Those costumes were amazing. I'm just skipping down. Mad Mac, haha, been there, bro. Talking to Seha. Nick Rich, yeah, I still got a green light. Yeah, I better end this before it goes out. Claudio Barado and Nick goes, says Trucker John, Happy New Year, regardless if Trump messes it up. Wonder if he will be invited to Carter's funeral. Yeah, I don't know, but thank you, Claudio. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. So be on the lookout for tonight. I think I'm going to go on sometime. I don't know, 8 or 8:30. Like I was going to try to catch the major time zones: the Eastern, the Central, the Mountain, and the Pacific. And we'll do maybe a little yippee for every one of those. I know Diane's on. I love Diane. I think she's great. So go check her out. She's got great music. Maybe you guys can go back and forth. Maybe you can go watch on 2 different devices or whatever. I don't know. Whatever you guys choose, that's fine with me. But I love Diane. I think, and she's been rocking. I might have her playing in the background while I'm on. I'll probably have her on my TV. Of course, with this little mic, I probably won't pick it up. Well, whatever. But you guys are great. If I don't see you tonight, have a great New Year. Happy New Year's Eve. And have a great 2025. And I've said this a few times before. Let's not let the maggots and Donald Trump get to us. So when I say have a happy New Year and have a good 2025, I really mean it. And I know that we've been talking about it's going to be rough. It's going to be awful with Trump as president. But let's not let MAGA have the satisfaction of us having a bad time. Let's make it work however we can. If that means hanging out with me, hanging out with Liberal Dan, hanging out with Boston Brian, hanging out with House Sparks, Texas Paul, Diane, over there, suffragettes, wherever it is, we can hang out. And I think all of these things will help us get through these next few years. We can do this together. We can help each other get through this. Okay, that's my. If you want to talk about New Year's resolutions or dreams or goals of 2025, and that's for us in this community, this non-maggot community, to stick together and help one another get through these rough times. All right, so I'll be seeing you. Hopefully, some of you tonight. Look for me tonight. If you guys are on, hit the notification button, whatever. And I'm going to try to get that other thing, my year in review, posted. I don't know. I'll be working on that. So that'll be coming out. I might do that as a premiere type of a thing. So I'll be busy for the rest of the day doing stuff. You guys have a great one. And just remember, though, as we go through the new year, and the New Year's Eve, and we do all that stuff, just always remember.
Well, it's time to say goodbye. The show has come to an end. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. Have some fun times, hopefully nothing too bad. We might talk about war crimes, might talk about Baghdad. I doubt we'll talk about door chimes, but if we did, I'd be only too glad. So hasta la vista, baby. The show is over, but could I ask you maybe to take a shower? No, that's not what I meant, but I couldn't think of anything to rhyme with over. All screwed up. Oh shit, I should have stuck to truck driving, who I tried to kid. At least when I was out there driving, I could handle a skid. But doing this live stream, baby, has been a real kid. So I hope to see y'all again right here on Trucker John Livestream. We're gonna do it again and again. right here in the Trucker John Livestream. Yeah, the Trucker John Livestream. We're gonna come back and do it all again. No, this ain't no dream. This is where we win. Right here on the Trucker John Livestream. Know it's time to say goodbye. The show is coming in. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. Well, it's time to say goodbye. The show has come to an end. Don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. We'll have some fun times, hopefully. Nothing too bad. We might talk about war crimes, might talk about Baghdad. I doubt we'll talk about gold chimes, but if we did, I'd be on to glad. So hasta la vista, baby, the show is over, but could I ask you, baby, to take a shower? No, that's not what I meant, but I couldn't think of anything to rhyme with over. Now my whole rhyming scheme is all screwed up. Oh shit, I should've stopped a truck driving. Who am I trying to kid? At least when I was out there driving, I could handle the skid. Doing this live stream, baby, it's been a real kid. So I hope to see y'all again, right here on the Trucker John Livestream. We gonna do it again and again and again, right here in the Trucker John Livestream. Yeah, the Trucker John Livestream. We're gonna come back and do it all again. No, this ain't no dream, this is where